Come, let us explore the hidden power of authentic meditation. Together, let us relaxingly recite. The Nobel laureate Albert Einstein is said to have quipped, "Any intelligent fool can make things bigger, more complex, and more violent. However, it takes a touch of genius and a lot of courage to move in the opposite direction." In a vast ocean-like throng of rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel fools, there are many who insist that enlightenment is attainable only for the special few, who live in a special place, in a special time, with special companions, and who have received special teachings from a special teacher because they're so damn special, and we're not. But that is not what the Buddha taught. Real or archetypical, he taught that enlightenment was as simple as mastering the Eightfold Path, and that could be done in as little as 7 days. How egalitarian is that? The key to this right view that empowers letting go, 4 points of right love, and the effortless effort of having choices, utterances, and deeds flow from love-centered spontaneity is simply mindfulness and meditation. 4. When practiced enthusiastically, sustainably, and effectively, mindfulness and meditation are the spiritual equivalent of a Swiss Army knife. In the golden age of proto-Buddhism, before the folly of institutionalism set in like black mold infesting a cabin in the woods, the only teachings were the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path, which contained the essence of all morality, which is loving kindness, or metta. Remember, actively striving to focus upon or analyze loving kindness could produce nothing more than a mere analog, pale and flaccid and worthless and weak. For the highest love, spontaneous and uncontrived, is the effortless byproduct of mindfulness and meditation. Yearning to do the loving thing is all well and fine, but how could we know what the right thing is, what the most kind manner is in which to do it, and when the most kind time is in which it must be done? Centered spontaneity. When our choices, utterances, and deeds flow from the centered spontaneity, which in turn is generated by our practice of mindfulness and meditation, love's kindness is as natural, effortless, and potent as our next breath. For those of us who are keen to devote ourselves to an Ajahn, Roshi, Shifu, or Lama, our ultimate teacher is simply our mindfulness and meditation. For the sole purpose of our outer teacher is to acquaint us with the inner one, which could be done in but a single sitting. For those who are keen to make offerings, there is no finer object of such gifts than our teacher, who is kind enough to give us instruction and answer our questions. Although optional donations could be lovely, the greatest offering we could make to our teacher is none other than the enthusiastic and sustainable practice of their instructions, whose essence is none other than mindfulness and meditation. For those of us who long for the purification of our so-called karmic negativities and their propensities, there is no finer antidote than mindfulness and meditation. For those of us who enthusiastically seek protection from the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, there is no greater safety to be had than by passively noticing whatever past, present, or potential dreads spontaneously cartwheel, across a metaphoric stage of mind as we effortlessly sit in mindfulness, and then viscerally relax in harmony with meditation's next exhalation. For those of us who are eager to manifest the fulfillment of all mental, interpersonal, physical, and circumstantial needs, we only have but to vulnerably notice the various and sundry desires that could dance like sugar plums in children's dreams as we breathe in, and meditatively relax and release as we breathe out. Recent centuries have seen a rise in the popularity of training in the 3 marks of reality, or tilakkhana. Yet as we sit in mindfulness once every 12 hours or so, we cannot help but automatically notice, recall, or anticipate stress or dukkha. And as we meditatively relax into our exhalations, we cannot help but viscerally experience how that which we noticed during our previous inhalation could fleetingly feel temporary or anicca, as well as non-graspable, as if they simply were not as if they simply did not define us, or anatta. Even the tyranny exerted by the 5 mental poisons over our choices, utterances, and deeds is easily tamed through mindfulness and meditation. First, as we meditatively relax into our exhalation, whatever dread we've vulnerably noticed during our previous inhalation could feel as non-graspable as mirror-like wisdom. Second, as we meditatively release into our exhalation whatever desire we passively noticed during our previous inhalation could feel as empty as discerning wisdom. Third, as we meditatively relax into our exhalation, whatever turmoil we vulnerably noticed during our previous inhalation could feel as non-graspable as all-pervading wisdom. Fourth, as we meditatively release into our exhalation whatever jealousy we randomly noticed during our previous inhalation could feel as void as all-accomplishing wisdom. Fifth, as we meditatively relax into our exhalation, whatever pride we fleetingly noticed during our previous inhalation could feel as non-graspable as equalizing wisdom. Each complex life form upon this big blue marble we call Earth has evolved to be hedonistic at heart. Yet no thing, being, or phenomena could give us as much of the bliss on tap as that which is afforded by the easy practice of mindfulness and meditation. Come, let us walk in the Buddha's footsteps, practicing mindfulness and meditation. Having completed our opening lesson, it's time for us to shift gears. It is Obi-Wan Kenobi Wednesday morning. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is the Dzogchen Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I've harnessed my autistic special interests as well as my ADHD hyperfocus to spend about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that I can become your personal, nerdy, neurodivergent guide to nirvana. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. For the remainder of this morning's live stream, let us play with the latest iteration of very easy meditation practice text, or sadhana, if you're nasty. Sturgeon's law reminds us that 90% of everything and everyone sucks, not in the fun and tingly way. What could that suckiness look like? It could look like society conditioning us to prefer rigidity to flexibility, to prefer fear to love, to prefer superstition to rationality, to prefer being controlling instead of being laid back. It could condition us to be elitist instead of egalitarian, cryptic instead of lucid, competitive instead of cooperative, and downright cruel instead of kind. Therefore, it should come as little surprise that the majority of meditation teachers we will encounter will implore their students to actively focus and analyze. Now, the only way to do that is by relying upon the discrete neural pathways, such as those found in our medial or dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. Overuse your prefrontal cortex, and you will find yourself more vulnerable than ever to the symptoms of depression. You'll also find that you are triggering your amygdala, which is the seat of both the anxiety and aggression that are the opposites of the peace and love we hope to get from meditation. Good news! Neither the prefrontal cortex nor the amygdala constitute the entirety of our central nervous system. I have two cases in point. Every time we inhale, thanks to evolution, I should say every time we inhale, we have evolved to automatically access the sympathetic nervous system ensconced within the middle third of our spinal cord. This bad boy helps us to notice in a very special way. It helps us to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. Every time we exhale, we are wired to automatically access the parasympathetic nervous system, divided between the lower third and the upper third of that same spinal cord. This parasympathetic nervous system is wired to help us to physically relax and mentally release to such a degree that which we noticed during our previous inhalation could fleetingly feel less stressful, less permanent, and less defining. The majority of Buddha statues we come across depict a Buddha sitting in the full lotus posture. And that just shows us just how efficient patriarchy is at showing us how to do things that are just not sustainable. Few of us can manage the full lotus posture for 2 hours a day. However, the most ancient Buddhist statuary depicts Gautama as sitting in the quarter lotus posture, wherein our legs appear to be stacked like the pieces of bread in a sandwich. We do not turn out from the knees, for the knees are just hinge joints. We turn out from the hips, for they are ball joints. So the first time we attempt this position, it'll most likely be ungainly and asymmetric. That's fine. Play with this for at least 5 minutes, once every 12 hours, and within a week or two, our body could go a long way to remembering the range of motion we enjoyed in our youth. Given the importance of our sympathetic as well as parasympathetic nervous systems, it's important that we cooperate with them, rather than compete against them. So the easiest way to do that is to silently and mentally recite the phrase, watching the play of mind, during our inhalation, as well as the phrase, ease into mind's nature during our exhalation. If you don't enjoy the 6-syllable version of this exercise, you might enjoy the 1-syllable version, which is simply the 2 verbs, watch and ease, silently and mentally recited in harmony with our inhalations and our exhalations. Consider the archetype, known in Sanskrit as Samantabandharas, Samantabandhari Karamamundara, known in Tibet as Kuntu Zangpo, Kuntu Zangmo, Yabyam, described in English as the all-good one sporting and tantric union. First, their nudity reminds us that the Buddha's mindfulness was a study in vulnerability, wherein we notice things vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. They are depicted in your fighter paintings as being translucent, which remind us that as we relax into our exhalation, that which we noticed during our previous inhalation could feel as if it was as non-graspable as a vast empty void, like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although could be tantalizing to the eye, is non-graspable to the hand. Their beauty, number 3, their beauty reminds us that the highest love is the spontaneous and uncontrived fringe benefit of our practice of mindfulness and meditation. Fourthly, the stability with which he sits reminds us of centeredness. The abandon with which she sports reminds us of spontaneity. It is this centered spontaneity that is the key to the effortless effort of the sixth fold of the Buddha's eightfold path. So, if you wish, you can, during each inhalation, we could silently and mentally recite watching the play of mind, and during each exhalation, we could silently and mentally recite ease into mind's nature, or if you prefer, we can play with the one-syllable version, silently and mentally reciting watch and then ease during our respective inhalations and exhalations. Let us review the lessons taught to us by the iconography of this archetype, known in Sanskrit as Vajrasattva, in Tibetan is Dorje Sempa, in English simply as diamond mind, and more elaborately as the diamond-like strength of a mind well trained in mindfulness as well as meditation. Dorje Sempa seems to be holding in front of his heart a brass object known as a vajra, or diamond. It reminds us that we are to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, fleetingly notice sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like, including emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. Whatever comes up, be it external or internal, physical or mental, pleasurable or painful, interesting or boring, glorious or grotesque. In his left hand, on his thigh, we see Vajrasattva holding a ganta, or bell. And the idea is this: as we relax into our exhalation, whatever we noticed during our previous inhalation could feel as if it was as non-graspable as a bell, resounding, yet non-graspable. If you wish, during each inhalation, you could silently and mentally recite the 6-syllable phrase, watching the play of mind. And during each exhalation, you could silently and mentally recite, ease into mind's nature. Or you might simply prefer the 1-syllable version of watch, ease. you have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 10.5 hours, I would very much like to return to lead today's evening meditation class as well as group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.